This is our Friday strategy course. It's actually the last, guys. It's the last in this season. And what's going to happen next week is that I need to reclaim this time back for my own leaders for our team meeting, because we're just about to launch into, as a team, launch into Diamond Club. And it's super exciting for everyone involved throughout Team Oil, but it's going to take a lot of concentrated effort. And so starting from next week, if you knock on the door, unfortunately, the little pig won't let you in. And so you'll need to come back in July. So we're going to be really focused for 4 months. That's the word, laser focused for the next 4 months. So starting from next week. So I've thoroughly enjoyed these classes. Let's dive in. Today, what we're going to talk about is avatar. And this pops up a lot, but I found some new great strategy that I really want to share with you that I think will simplify things down a lot, because often we get lost and you're thinking as you're going down the track and you're writing your content, is this actually what my avatar needs? Is this what they want to hear? So I've got a great list of questions at the end of this course. So you need to hang around till then to get them or watch the recording back. And we're just going to dive in. And I really want this to be vocal, as we always are. So unmute anytime, no matter where you are. Ali, you're in the car. Just unmute and ask questions, because we want it to be really kind of role playing off each other and learning from each other here. Yeah, there's different levels of experience. So let's share the screen. I'll find the button. Cross fingers, it all works. Okay, going to maximum screen. We've got that, guys? Yep, good. So today's all about defining your ideal customer. And sometimes there's an acronym that pops up later on. And I'll explain that in a moment, just to cut that ideal customer avatar down. So ICA is sometimes how we refer to the ideal customer avatar. Yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Is last week, remember the week before last, because it was Lunar New Year last week, we talked about what value you're adding to your community. And often when we start this whole process of deciding who we're going to talk to, often we miss out that first step that we talked about 2 weeks ago, which was like, what are we talking about, and what value, and how are we going to add that value? Often we miss that step and we jump straight to here and we talk about, like, who are we going to talk to? So today we're going for the who, the avatar. So now we already know, if I read here, the clarity on the value that we're going to add to our community. And then this week, today, we're going to talk about who we add that value to. Yeah. And so understanding this part of the process is really like that foundational level. So it really helps you to write everything, because what I do now when I do my Facebook Lives, I think about that one person and I think about who I'm talking to. And it's so much easier to have eye contact with the camera, because you forget about that plastic thing in front of you and you just think that you're having a conversation directly with that person. And it doesn't matter if you're an extrovert or an introvert, that doesn't matter at all. What matters is that how you show up and offer service in that moment. You know, what's called on you to show up in that moment. So forget about being an introvert, forget about being an extrovert, because that often gives us like boundaries. And then you start acting within those boundaries. Yeah. So whatever that person, that avatar is asking, we need to show up and offer service. And if it means stepping out of your comfort zone and stepping into, you know, a mindset of being an extrovert, then possibly we need to do that. And that comes through this kind of practice in this group here. So your ideal customers, and let's flip the screen here. So today we're going to talk about, there's 3 things we're going to talk about. We're just going to break them down. So how you define who your character is. So how you define, I'm just going to move our heads out of the way. And how you define them really can change everything about your business. And why? Because you have clarity on who you're talking to, and clarity in the content that you're putting out there in your Facebook Lives, through all of your content online, or even the content in your classes. Yeah. So once you know who you're talking to, then you're writing to that person through everything that you're doing. And we're also going to talk about all these little intimate details So you can actually picture them in your brain. And then maybe at the end of the process, you want to go and Google their name and get a photograph and choose that photograph and stick it on your vision board, because that also helps as well. So it helps if you see that person visually, because a face matters. You know, the impact on that face really, really matters. And last of all, what we're going to do is really perfect this and get really good at knowing who our ideal customer is and who is that person that's going to buy from you and order from you again and again and again. So they're just the three things. It's pretty simple process today, especially when we get to the end and we go through all of those questions. So does anybody want to jump in at the moment and say anything? Anyone champing at the bit? We're all okay. Good. Let's move to the next slide. Jump in anytime. So your ideal customer. So this is the person who wants and needs the exact content and programs and services and everything that you're creating, and they will pay money for it. So remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how you bring them into your value ladder. And that's usually by like a lead magnet. Maybe you've got like a smoothie recipe guide and they click on that and they exchange their email address, there's a value offer. So you're giving them some value. So they're giving you their email address. So that's normally how we attract them into our community, first of all. Yeah. And so then once they're inside your community, what you want to do is continue to love on them, continue to give them more value. And that could be through Facebook Lives, it could be through a Facebook group. And then eventually when you have some kind of course to offer, or you have an ebook to offer, or something else to offer, maybe it's a class that they're paying for, like a DIY class. They're so happy with what you're offering them as freebie stuff, then they'll be willing to pay for something else that you're offering. Okay, so when we talk about there's one person that we ideally want to attract to you, a lot of the time people get concerned that you're narrowing too close, yeah? So we're trying to narrow the focus from trying to hit everybody to working out what your niche is and just going really, really quite narrow. And so don't freak out if you think that you'll go so narrow that you won't resonate with anybody. And so I'll go through that in a moment too, but it's actually really good to narrow your focus down and be really specific in who you want to attract, because that's what sets you aside from everybody else in this group, every other leader on Team Oil, every other leader in doTERRA who's also selling oils. So working out last time what your value is that you bring, and then now it's about attracting that person to come to you with that value that you're offering. Okay, so let's look here. Only one person. So at a glance, it may seem strange, or maybe not even that smart, to think about just attracting one person to you. And I just mentioned that when I do Facebook Lives, I like to talk directly to that one person, and it just makes it so much easier to concentrate, but it also makes it easier to get the message across. So a lot of the time when we think that we're narrowing down, we're thinking that we're missing out on a lot of other people, that we're cutting them out. But what actually happens is that discovering there's people popping in everywhere, full-time job. So discovering your ideal avatar can be difficult, can be tricky. But when you focus in on that single person, what actually happens is you're not limiting. Other people start to see and hear what you're saying. They may not be your ideal customer. I just need to mute somebody. They may not be your ideal customer, but what they actually are is they fit into the parameters of what you're offering. Yeah, and that's kind of like icing on the cake. So you're talking to one or two people directly, but there's others that kind of resonate with what you're saying out there as well. And so, you know, I don't fit into a lot of people's avatars because I'm a male. Yeah, a prime example. But I'm kind of icing on the cake for those people because I am attracted to what they're offering. And that comes up a lot in doTERRA, that embrace your inner woman. It's like, okay, I will. So sometimes your ideal avatar will come to you, but there are others that will also come to you, is what I'm trying to say as well, who will resonate with you and what you're trying to offer them. Yeah. So let's have a look here. So when you figure out who your ideal customer avatar is, you're able to get really specific with all of your content, all of your stories, and that's when it really starts to get into the flow. So can we just open up here a little bit and have a little chat? Has anybody been through this process at the moment? Yeah. Does anybody want to share anything? I might just stop the share of the screen. We'll come back to that. Zosh, you had a little hand up there. Do you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I sort of oscillate because I treat so many people with lots and lots of different things. But when I sort of narrow everything down, and it's been great because I've got a community of people and clients already. So I'm sort of cheating a little bit because my specialty for years and years has been biomechanics and exercise prescription, and specifically taking people from rehab, really. And then, you get lost along the way and you sort of go, oh, I think I like this too, and I like this. But actually now it's becoming very, very obvious why people have got certain conditions. So I think my avatar, and it's, you might think it's quite wide, but generally speaking, it's pain. And it's pain. There's some very common themes that address why people are in pain. I'm talking chronic pain, not talking acute pain. And so this is, it's sort of organically happened, which is fantastic. So I keep sort of reminding myself, and I keep getting surprised, because when I tell people sort of the connection of why things happen, they're also like having a major aha moment. So I was like, oh, we've sort of, I've landed on the avatar very nicely by going, this is what I'm so passionate about, and this is where I can see people getting results. So it is, there is not one picture of somebody, it's more of what they're going through emotionally and physically.
Oh, so good. And I love how you said they just fall on it organically, and you've had years of experience, and I think for some people it does take time to work it out and get comfortable and go in the trenches and do the hard work.
You said something interesting in our call yesterday. It was about do what the thing is that you actually are good at, and sometimes we want to be good at something else, or we want to be known as something else.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe you have a mentor and you think, oh, they're so good at that and I want to be that. But actually, that's them. And if you fight against what your natural purpose is, it will never feel right. Yeah. So I think if you go with it, and it could be the simplest thing, and if that is the simplest thing, then that's what it is. And then follow that, and then don't worry about what you think you should be doing.
Oh, so good.
Zosh, that actually kind of dovetails right into what I was thinking is, for those of us who don't have a natural clientele and haven't been doing healthcare for decades like you have, very often you'll find that your avatar is you 5 years ago, right? And that is really why that becomes your zone of genius, because we know who we are, right? Exactly. And it's like, I know how to talk to people like me because I'm one of them. Yes. And that becomes kind of your zone of genius. And if I try to be a 22-year-old Instagrammer, that's going to be ridiculous. That is not a natural zone for me. But if I want to talk to moms, I'm game on, right? So don't try to be somebody you're not. Stay in your lane, stay in your zone of genius, and it could very well be who you were just a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then you feel like when you're speaking from truth, right? And I always say, you're doing the right thing when you talk to somebody. I often get quite emotional. I get quite teary, and it's like I'm absorbing what they're going through, and then you go, that's the thing. And it could be something so simple like, detoxifying your home or whatever, right?
And I really want to encourage many of you that might be on this call or listening to the recording. I think yesterday or whenever, I watched a documentary, as I do, called it was called Fake Famous. Fake Famous. And I think it was on Amazon Prime, maybe. But it was about the fakeness of Instagram influencers.
Yeah.
And like they buy toilet seats and they'll hold them at a window and take a photo, and it looks like they're on an airplane living some great life, you know. And I watched it, and it made me just, part of me was like, oh, this is disgusting. And but then there was part of me that was like, it relieved me of all that burden to try to be so good on Instagram. So I was like, people are fake. At least, you know, I may not have 100,000 followers, but at least the followers I have know me and they're real and that kind of thing. And, you know, maybe my photos aren't perfect, but they actually happened. So I think they'll make those of us, and I think Instagram is still good. I think we still need to be engaging on there because we will attract our people with our authenticity. But I think this documentary will really remove that feeling of I'm not successful. I can't, whatever. They focused on your people and they will come. But it's a great documentary.
Yeah. I have a real love-hate relationship with Instagram. Facebook, we get along. But Instagram, I just find that you just got to show up and be so glossy. And I can't do that. And I took a year off last year from Instagram and just closed it because I was like, I can't deal with having to have a filter for everything and have that grid laid out because I'm very spontaneous. And I've got to train myself not to be spontaneous and to calendar things and to batch things, because when you're spontaneous, then it doesn't work on Instagram because it just looks like a patchwork of mismatch, and that's how they see your brain. And so
I don't know. After watching the documentary, I want that patchwork of chaos of who I am.
Yeah.
Like you guys are going to see a shift in my Instagram to start to become more chaotic and more spontaneous and more my real life and less, you know, the perfect little image with the right colors and all that stuff that's what stresses you out. So
realness, yeah, it's got to be real. And that's what, you know, I think Zosh is saying, that if you show up and be authentic, then people will resonate with you. And Zosh is so emotionally driven by her customers and what they're going through. That's clearly on the right path. You know, there's a connection there. And when your people say to you, how did you know, how did you know that I needed that? You know, that's when you're in sync and you're in the zone, you're in the flow, all those words, you just know. And the thing is too, a lot of people beat themselves up over, I've got to find my avatar. I've got to find my avatar. Don't just move away from it, step right back from it, and it'll evolve and it'll change over time too. You know, there's no doubt, you know, coming back to Zosh again, this example took some time to get to. But before that, she would have had different iterations of different avatars along the way. And it's not saying that the avatar 5 years ago was less comfortable for her. It's because where she is at now in her evolution and her personal development, this is a perfect connection with everything, and everything's just aligned. So we will evolve as well. And well, we need to as business owners. We have to, because our customers will evolve. Look at life last year. Yeah. So we have all evolved last year, and people that we reached out to 2 years ago who said no, possibly last year, and this year they're saying yes to the opportunity. So be flexible, be open to it, lean into it. Don't beat yourself up over it. You know, it'll just come naturally. And if it feels good, then it's probably right. Yeah. If it feels good and people are connecting with you, then, you know, you're on the right path. Yeah. Anyone else doing the work at the moment on trying to work out who they're talking to?
I did avatar work probably like a year ago, no more. It was probably about 18 months ago now with Ali. But I think at that time I was like trying to project who I wanted my avatar to be instead of who they really are and who I really am. So I think now I'm kind of coming full circle, and you know, for me, it's helping moms, probably particularly new moms, or moms who, you know, who are becoming mums for the second or third time, you know, and they're in that daily grind. They're juggling everything, but they want to do something meaningful. They want to have a community of people that they really connect with and that they feel understand them and what their, you know, what their challenges are with their kids or with their family life. And also just the career shift, you know, that a lot of mums go through where the former career just doesn't work for them anymore. I don't want that. I didn't want that. I still don't want that. I don't want to go back to full-time teaching. So it's like, okay, here's something that I can do. I can combine, you know, my passion for people, my love of natural health, my teaching skill set, yes, but, you know, to connect with people, and I am a connector. So that's working within my strengths. It's being authentic, like Victoria was saying. It's my purpose to connect with people and to connect people with other people. So, you know, and yeah, it's like what lights your fire, what makes you feel alive. Yeah, that's your zone of genius. That's where you're going to make, you know, add the most value, as opposed to trying to be someone you're not, or trying to, you know, kind of, yeah, work into an avatar that's not really you, or that's not really your ideal sort of group of people to work with.
Ari, I'll come to you in a second. Hold on. But I've got a question for Kate. So Kate, do you think it's like, because you stepped back from it as well and allowed the process just to flow naturally and organically without putting pressure on, I've got to find my avatar?
I think,
or was it something else?
I think I did, I did sort of step back from it just because life happened last year. I didn't have a choice. But it was funny because I only just started to get into Instagram, you know, probably around the same time I was building my website. So it was sort of May last year, May, June. And also the process of doing my website, I was like, who am I? What do I want people to see? You know, I want them to see that I am first and foremost a mum, you know, and my kids are my everything, and my family. But, you know, I'm passionate about natural mothering, biological nurturing. You might not know what biological nurturing is, but that's like a catchphrase. Like that's a key word for my avatar. Who are the other mums who are into biological nurturing and all the things that are associated with that? And that helped, you know, me to create my natural nurturer. You know, that's my team. We're natural nurturers, you know, and yeah, and I guess starting to use Instagram for the first time, I was like, wow, there's so many different things on here. I was like, whoa. But then starting to find accounts that I resonate with, I'm like, these are my people, and they've got their people, and, you know, just some beautiful like images and accounts that I've discovered through that process. And yeah, very much sort of trial and error with my own Instagram journey. And yeah, like you say, learning to sort of show up authentically. But, you know, I do like the idea of having like a color theme or a whatever, you know, that helps as well, I think. But yeah.
Cool. Ari, you're dying to ask something. You just, there we are.
Yeah, hey, sorry, I'll take the hand down. So
great to see
you.
you.
Hey, yeah, I usually never like turn my video on and talk. So
I know, this is a big deal. I'm waiting for it.
I know, oh my goodness. Do you see the I am elite in the background? Well, that's kind of, anyway. So hey everyone, I'm Ari, and thank you so much for holding this, Pete, and also for what you said, Kate, because with my avatar, it's an interesting dichotomy because, you know, I'm living in Colorado, and just a couple of days ago, I kept sort of changing my avatar. So this, you know, like I want to keep moving fast with doTERRA. So I have this one avatar that's like, well, I want to speak to people. So I'm in my 30s. I want to speak to people over the age of 45 and 50. And I want them to be network marketers and, you know, have a sharp business mind and, you know, and be established and all of that. But really, like, my passion is travel and the cruise ships. I mean, as you can see, you know, in the background. And I love the community that Victoria has built because it's so global. And frankly, like, I prefer like I can relate to those people like all of the people that are crew members that are stuck right now and no one's working in the industry. So it's just kind of interesting because I'm still sort of figuring out my brand and my avatar. And it's just kind of like a push-pull where I have this like 45-year-old person avatar guy who's been in network marketing, and then like, no, I just want a crew member that worked on ships. So anyway, I don't know if you have any insight, but.
No, I love it. I love it because you're stepping back from it a little bit, it seems, and just letting the process happen naturally without pushing it. And it's a lot of it has to be where your passion is too, and where your passion flows. And you want to attract people that you want to work with, either work with as a customer, because you're creating your own business. You don't want to wake up one day and then go, I don't like the people I'm working with. And it's all on your shoulders because you're attracting them to you. Yeah. So through the message that you're putting out there. And so through the content that you're writing, through the Facebook Lives that you're doing, you're attracting the people to you. So yes, it's the product as well, but online we want to talk about the solutions that we're offering people. So you attract the people through the content that you're putting out there. So if it's the crew members that you want to attract, then let's start writing to those people. And even if you don't post anything at the moment, just write it, get it out of your head and write it. And Ari, just see what it feels like.
Yeah, thank you.
See if that feels better than writing for that 45-year-old version of me.
Well, no, and I don't mean to say, age, but you know what I mean? Like someone that is, not, 18, that like I wanted someone that really had, mature experience. Anyway, I'm not going to go on, but thank you for that. And I'm going to take your advice and just kind of write it.
Love it, love it, love it. Glad to hear.
And maybe think about what are the common traits that people who work on cruise ships have, like what draws them to that industry, because that's going to give you some things to work with there. And also perhaps where the industry is at now, these people need income, they need another option. They need to like start their lives again and share their talents, but what are the talents that they were sharing within the cruise ship industry, and then draw on that.
Sure, sure. Ali, you've got your hand up. I'm waiting for some brilliance.
Can you hear me?
Got you.
Can you hear me okay?
You're whispering a little bit.
So just 2 cents here. Well,
you have the thing.
Lee, are you there?
So when I get help,
Let's try again. Ali, try again.
how about now? How about now?
Keep going. It sounds.
Anybody? Hello, hello.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Keep going.
When, okay, so when I was helping a handful of you do your avatars, one of the coolest things at the end of each one was that the avatar was perfect for that person. And I was so encouraged to think, oh my gosh, like there are enough people in this world for each one of us to develop massive teams to whatever size we want. And there is no need for any scarcity mindset when we're developing the people that we want to work for, right? There are enough people in the world, and each one of the avatars that we did was so genuine and so authentically that person that I just want to encourage you, go as niche as you can, and don't be afraid that there's not enough people that are going to be attracted to that, because there is. You're going to find your people.
Love it. Love it. Okay, let's dive back into, thanks, Ali. Let's dive back into our presentation. I'll find it again. And I've totally lost it. And I don't think it wants me to reshare. Victoria, it's this issue again. Screen share. Ah! Hold on, guys. I'm going to close it and reopen it. You still with me there? Yep. Okay. Trying to reshare. last time. If this doesn't work, we're just going to chat. The joys of Zoom. How's that? We got it? Good. Yay. Okay, full screen. Now, I'm going to find what page we're on. So this is what I was saying about you'll actually be speaking to different variations of your ideal customer avatar. So, you know, I don't fit into, because I'm a male, I don't fit into the ideal customer avatar of many people online. However, I see myself in that message. I see myself in the message that they're putting forward. So the ICANN Institute, you know, 2 years I've been in there. I'm not Deb's ideal customer avatar, but I believe that I am. Yeah, I believe that I am. The work that she puts out there, I resonate with, and all the specifics that she talks about, they resonate with me. So in my mind, I feel that I am her ideal customer avatar. I embrace my inner woman every time she says that. I take it on board because it works. It just drives me forward. And when she talks, I feel like she's talking to me. So even though you narrow your focus right down and you're talking to your ideal customer avatar, and in your brain, it's one person, Mary, but then there may be Michael on the side, and Michael resonates with what you're saying, then that's the icing on the cake. You're picking up different variations of your ideal customer avatar. And I love this word, variations of your ideal customer avatar. I think that's really powerful. Yeah. So narrow your focus down, but then there'll be variations of people that will come in as well. Yeah, cool. Flipping the page. So here we want to talk about how do we find this one person? How do we define them? So this is there's no use just talking about it if we don't actually have a process. And on Fridays, we talk about the strategy behind things. So you can actually go away and work on the strategy and make it come to fruition. So what we really want to do is you can base this ideal customer on someone that's real or someone that is fictitious. So you can just make them up if you want to. So they don't have to be a living, breathing person. You can make them up. Yeah. So a lot of the time we're sitting here thinking that it has to be a real person. It doesn't. So we're talking about your ideal person who's going to jump at all of the content that you put out there. So doesn't have to be a real person at all. So let's move in. If there's any questions, just jump in. Just unmute because I can't see your hands coming up at the moment. There's a lot of information in this slide, and I'll post it so that you can read through it in your own time. But the main thing I want to get to is these questions at the end. Yeah. So think about here. I really like this part. If you were to give out a Customer of the Year award, yeah. So if you had this Customer of the Year award, this is the person who would probably come forward as your real avatar, your ideal customer avatar. They're the ones who buy everything, show up, share everything, talk to all their friends. You know, they're the ones who are an activator of change, and they go out there and they spread the word to everybody in their community and they support you. So they're the ones that will probably win the Customer of the Year award all the time. Yeah. And so here, they're also, your customer avatar is your North Star. And I wanted to put that down because they're the ones that will guide you in helping to lead you into what you're creating, keeping you focused on all of your content, everything you talk about, not just online. So we're not just talking about everything online here, guys. We're talking about how we actually talk to the person as well when they come to the class. So they'll stand out by the questions that they're asking, by how connected they are with what you're talking about. So you captivate them through your programs, through your services, through your messages that you're putting out there. So if you have in your brain your ideal customer and the image of that person, they are your North Star to guide you with everything that you're writing. And that's probably one of the main points I wanted to make today, because when you sit down and you start to write content, you can go off in any direction. And every week in my Nourished by Pete lifestyle group, I have one theme. And last week was about supplements in doTERRA. Normally I just talk about things, lifestyle things. It's not often I go into products because I don't want it to be salesy. I want it to be value-y. I want to add value to people. And so 80% is my thing. I want to add value 80% of the time. But I had a lot of requests from people to simplify the supplements down. And I want to talk more about consumables than oils, because that converts into LRP, yeah? So it's not often I talk about oils. I often talk about consumables, and if it's soap, I'll talk about it. If it's essential skincare, I'll talk about it, because we get enough information, I think, about oils. So I really want to talk about consumables because they convert into sales, they convert into LRP. And I learned that quite earlier on. Also too, because I started with the Natural Solutions kit. I started with all the supplements. And so I know that kit really intimately. I love the supplement range. And there's a lot to know about the supplements. So it pushes me out of my comfort zone and makes me learn and go deeper into the product, so I can confidently talk more about this content and connect with my North Star as well. So I love to talk about the supplements. Earlier on, I still do really resonate with Regan, because the detail that she goes to in supplements and nutrition, I think I am her avatar because, it spiked my interest so much, and the detail that she goes to, I love it. I really, really love it. I can geek out on that all day. And so I want to provide that value to my audience as well. So talking to your North Star, that is your avatar. So guys, I'm going to jump through these slides here, and I want to get to all the questions at the end, because that is the strategy. Yeah, that's all the interesting stuff. You can see I wrote a lot here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, here we go. So defining your ICA. Now, you don't need to take snapshots or anything, because I'll post this when I post the recording, but take a good hour or 2 hours, and then you can even walk away and come back to this process again and sit with some of these questions. There's a couple of slides here. I'm hoping they all came out. So here, are they male or female? Doesn't matter. Maybe they're both. I see a lot of people online segregate male and female, and Victoria always says you're cutting out half of the population if you just focus on female and focus on male, and that resonates with me a lot. And I still haven't in my avatar defined whether it's male or female, and I don't think I ever will. I want to attract, people with that pain point. And like Zosh is saying, Zosh is attracting people through pain, attracting people with pain. She's not saying they're a male or female. Yeah. So be really careful. That's why I put that question first. And so, but I said there's different variations as well. Yeah. Of your ICA. So even though you may be talking to a female, maybe the males still resonate with that. But just be really careful with that first question, because you can alienate as well people who would be your ideal customer. What do they look like? And this is just building up this kind of image in your brain so you can visualize how old are they? They're married, they're single, divorced, or widowed. That's a big thing. That you could have a whole program designed around that one question there, divorced and widowed. If they have children, how many, how old? You can read through all of these questions. There's a few slides here, and then they get deeper. Where do they hang out online? This is a big thing. Who inspires them? Are they on Oprah's email newsletter list? Who inspires them? What Facebook groups are they in? And a really good way, if you're struggling with your defining who your ICA is to go into, I'm going to stop the share here, but you can see here, there's a few pages. Yeah, guys. So I'm going to stop the share. A really good way to kind of role play this is to go into different Facebook groups and not to start selling your products, but actually just to listen and to sit in the background and see what questions people are asking. So if you're kind of defining what your avatar is, and it's mums and, you know, breastfeeding and, you know, Kate, your area kind of thing, biological parenting, was it? And so then you find a Facebook group, which is kind of, you know, it's really out of my wheelhouse. You can feel that, can't you? And so you start aiming towards that Facebook group, and then you just start to listen. Yeah, and maybe engage in the conversation. So I did something really funny. I went onto this Indian morning sunshine group, and I thought, you know what, they've got 980,000 people in there. I'm just going to go on there, because I had this really weird thing happening where I would do a Facebook Live, and all of a sudden, all these Indian people started to like my video. And one went, not viral, but it went a bit weird one day. And there was a couple of thousand Indians who liked my video. And I'm like, great, I'll take it. And I just had a picture of me in Mumbai, like big billboard up there, you know, Pete comes to Mumbai. I had this whole image. And so then I thought, you know what, I'm going to go onto this group. And so all they do is they go on Canva, they take a picture of a sunshine or a flower, and they go, good morning, and they post it. And so I did that for a few mornings, and I had 20, 30, 50 people start just in a conversation. It was hilarious. And I ended up dropping out of the group because I couldn't see it leading anywhere into, you know, my products. But so simple, if you show up in service, like I said in the beginning of the call, step out of extrovert, introvert, because it doesn't really matter. You have to show up in service of what that avatar calls you to do. You know, so many times, again, we get boxed into, I'm an introvert, I can't do that, or I'm an extrovert. You can step out of that, and you can show up with what service needs to be, what your avatar needs to receive in the form of a service. So I'm not so comfortable getting onto a Facebook group that I don't really know, but I just started conversations with people. So that is a really good way for role playing your avatar. And then you just jump into different groups. You see what questions are being asked, first of all. And then you start writing down, okay, they're talking about headaches. They're talking about pain. They're talking about, you know, they need a solution for this. Does it fit my avatar, fit my products? It's a great way, safe way to role play. Yeah. So let's open up our mics and have a bit of a chit chat. So you can go through all of those questions in defining your ideal customer. There's some really good questions in there to dig deeper. You know, you want to, about 3 weeks ago, we talked about where do your ideal customers hang out? Where do they hang out online? And that's where you want to try to bait them from there. And you bait them authentically through knowing who they are and providing some really authentic content to attract them into your community. So you're fishing in the big ocean of the online web, and you're trying to bring them into your little pond, is how I see it. And then you're nurturing those little tadpoles, and you want to grow them nice and fat through all of your content. And when they're ready, they're so fat that they want to go on a diet with you. And then that's when you can sell a program to them. So let's chat about this. We've got about 5 more minutes. So how are we doing? Do we spark any interest, Victoria?
Hey, I just want to say, for those of you who are reading this fabulous book in the book club, Rejection Proof, which I think Sonia recommended a couple of weeks ago. And then Ali was like, I ate that book in like a day or whatever. So I was like, all right, I gotta read this thing. And then Pete, you just triggered me when you said you're not that comfortable being in this giant Facebook group where you don't know anybody. I mean, I read the book, because that's like the perfect place to get a ton of rejection, because what in this book, when you're just like, hey, I'm going for rejection, and the way he words it, it's very different than the book Go for No. Similar, but he's got so much humor in it. But this is where, like, I'm going to dive into this. I've been diving into Clubhouse like a maniac. And the first week I was freaked out. And then the second week after like reading this book, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm going to go for rejection, whatever. And they might say yes. So I think that taking everything that Pete is saying, while you're looking for, some variety of or some variation of your avatar, and you go into these Clubhouse and in these Facebook groups with that book kind of in your head, game on.
Yeah.
Might say yes.
Yeah, exactly. I was listening to Brendan Burchard. He has this fantastic growth day call every single morning on Facebook. It's free. I love it. And I do my yoga, my morning routine with it. And I took some notes this morning. I sent it to Ali. And he said, high performance entrepreneurs have a forward lean towards assertiveness. And so you are unapologetically moving towards your dreams and your desires and your wishes. And that comes through. Assertiveness isn't arrogance. It is your North Star of where you want to head to. So I'll say it again. So high performance entrepreneurs have a forward lean towards assertiveness. They're leaning into action. Yeah, you're not stepping back and going, why isn't my team growing? I am about to go through the largest growth in my team over the next 4 months, and I'm so excited about it. And I'm so excited that it's not me, it's my leaders who I'm dying to start working with and to see growth in all of their teams, because they all deserve it so much. And it's just exciting. So I'm laying all the foundations down. We're all talking, we're all getting energized. So it's this inner conversation with yourself, that inner belief, that self-confidence, and it comes through sitting with, what do you have to offer to people? And if you don't show up, how are you going to be in 2 years' time when you sit in front of the mirror and you go, I wish I had done that? And so, and every day, there's people waiting for us. We say it all the time. All we're talking about today is attracting with the people that need to hear your voice. And the most powerful tool we have is our voice, the most powerful tool. So do you give your mic away to someone else to use, or do you hold on to your microphone like a good karaoke bar and sing into it? And so use that microphone, you've been given it. So use it and attract the right people. So how are we doing? I'll get off my preaching platform.
No, I think it's awesome. I just think that, if there was like a natural skill set to be an entrepreneur, and I think many of us in this team, and just even, with doTERRA or in other network marketing, there must have been a natural tendency to be like a risk taker, or someone that just kind of takes life by the horns. And it's like, if an opportunity presents, that's how I live my life. It's how I've always lived it. If an opportunity comes my way, I just say yes. And I have no idea where it's going to go, what tangent it's going to take me on. And that's how I ended up in China. I said yes to a scholarship to Beijing in 1999, and like the whole trajectory of my life changed, from small town Rockhampton with so many social problems and blah, 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 and I was like, I don't want that to be my life. No way. I'm not staying here. I can't wait to get out of this town, and I didn't just move to a big city in Australia. I moved across the other side of the world. And so, it just, I know that tendency towards risk-taking, having a natural resilience, like you say, little small steps moving forwards, and yes, sometimes we go back and then we have to come forwards again. But just keep the momentum and keep overcoming that fear and kind of pushing out our boundaries, I guess.
And this is such a safe environment. Victoria has created for us the most encouraging, supportive, safe environment. If you can't flourish in this group, guys, then it's so safe. And so step out of your own way. Step out of your own way and just be amazing. So this is the year to do it. We learned a lot last year about ourselves and our own resilience. So everything we learned last year, let's put into practice this year and help the ones that are stuck where we were a few years ago. So pull them through. So step out of your own way.
Thank you for the kind words, Pete, but it is a team. I think that I have attracted those people who at least want it. They may not have the skills yet that or the attributes, characteristics, that inner drive to have something more. But I think what we've created in this group, and I say we because you, Pete, have very generously and amazingly done this Thursday night or Friday morning call for months. And I know you're taking a break for Diamond Club, but then I'm already going to look forward to it coming back. But as I'm listening to everybody speak, I'm like, oh, Brendon Burchard. Oh, that book we're reading right now. Oh, Deb in the Head. Yes. Oh, that's From the Slight Edge. I mean, I think we all come in knowing we want more, but with a willingness to learn, right? So those of you who are on this call or watching the recording, that's the people who are going to do it because they're consuming the content or the knowledge to apply to make that inner drive a reality.
Sure.
Right. So it's like if you're reading, you're leading. If you're doing Deb in the Head, you're going to have breakthroughs. If you're listening to Brendon Burchard, you're probably going to hit the ceiling and be swinging from a chandelier or something because that guy can fire you up. You know, you're showing up to Pete's calls, but soon you will be doing these types of calls for your teams, right? That growth and that willingness to take the risks because we just have that drive, but we're willing to hone it and polish it and prune it sometimes. It's just very exciting.
Oh, it is. It's so exciting, you know, and you can just see when people are right on that edge and just about to bubble over and explode. And that's what's exciting. That's what I love to see. And my favorite part of all of this, I love every part, but my favorite part is definitely working with my leaders. Love that part so much. And when little sparks start to flourish, and it's all about encouraging people to be the best. And we do that on every level, from our customers, through our baby builders, to our more experienced builders, into ourselves. And so I love also that we're throwing around all of these names. It's so great because it's now just second nature. You pick up a book, you read it, you do your yoga and you listen to some podcast. You're walking down the road and you've got something in your ear. So bombard yourself with positivity.
And you're right, we share it. That's the other thing. Like we as a community share. Allie was like, oh, I ate the book. And I was like, I can't get it in my head fast enough. If Allie, I'm almost jealous. I'm like, what did Pete listen to that I didn't get to listen to? You know, I mean, right? That's how you get. It's like, but we're all sharing and we're all contributing and we make the culture, we make the team. And when you bring your people in, you create that in your team.
Yeah.
But then it goes up to a larger team, but you get to create that within your team. And that's when it just starts, the momentum just hits. And Pete, I just want to say thank you again, because I know you're taking a 4-month break, which I think I threatened you somehow.
I have a ball and shackle on my foot here, guys.
Very protective of my diamond clubbers.
Love it. I have thoroughly enjoyed these calls. You've given up your Thursday nights, guys. You've given up your Friday mornings, and I'm very grateful. So thank you. And as always, I will post the recording and I'll share it with you all. We can go back, share these with your team. You know, we're going to keep these recordings alive because we have such a vast library of resources in Team Oil. So share these, and you know, we'll all look back and laugh on our different hairstyles later on, but the information is valid and it will always be valid. Yeah. So thank you. I've thoroughly enjoyed this time. And next week we're diving into the trenches in my team and we're getting set up for growth. So thank you, everybody. Love you all. Have a great night. Have a great morning. See you soon.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Dee, so excited to see you here. Well done. Bye, Tracy. Bye, Angela.
Bye, everyone.
Dee, Zosh, love you.
Bye, darling. Love the love.